Welcome to Rules of Villainy, episode 33, where three new trading card game players quest and challenge their way to the competitive top tables and discuss their opinions on Disney's Lorcana. We'll be discussing, as always, the latest news in Lorcana, answering your questions. And this week, instead of going over the latest meta developments, we're actually going to discuss the legendaries in the new upcoming set. I'm Villain Vince, joined as always by my two co-hosts, Villain Andy, the mayor of Lorcana himself, Brad. How's it going tonight, gentlemen?
I'm back.
You are back. You are back. Although it doesn't even feel like you've been gone because you were back for our live on Saturday.
Yeah.
Not that we didn't miss you. Not that don't take that. But I just
No, like it was my first. And forgive my voice, everybody listening. In the last 2 hours, I think I've picked up what Emily's had for the last couple of days. So might not do a whole lot of talking tonight, but I'm going to power my way through it because I love doing this so much. But I was so happy to one, be at Disney World, but two, it was the first time I got to listen to the show like as a listener, without any knowledge of what you guys talked about. And then I had this weird occurrence where we spent all day walking around and super tired. I woke up at like 4:30 or something, and I was like, I got time to kill. I'm just going to listen to the episode. And it was a great time. I'm so happy to see, you guys power through it. Not that you need me to do it, but it was just really cool to be on the other side of things and seeing, listening to the conversation as a listener. And I just wanted to give you guys props for that.
Thank you. It's fun though, isn't it, to hear it from that perspective?
It is.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So how's your nights been, each of you?
It's been good. Been snowed in the last couple days. I didn't go into the office because I was enjoying the Florida weather for 4 days straight. Came home into 2 snowstorms both nights. So not been great, but I've been keeping myself occupied and busy. We've been just flooded with reveals and everything for the last week, so there's so much to talk about. But yeah,
super excited about that.
Yeah, we got kind of lucky last week. We were supposed to get that big snowstorm, and it just didn't quite turn out. But then this one just kind of snuck up, and then it's cold. It's a very, very cold.
Very cold.
So cold.
So, but yeah, well, let's go ahead and get into some news as you kind of forecasted. We'll get into our Underworld news segment here. The set 7 is now fully revealed. Can you believe that was like a blitz of like a week and a half, basically, of just an insane amount of cards.
Yeah, for sure.
They used to spread it out for over a month or so, get a little bit, a few here and there. And then when we had our reveals, which I'm sure we'll touch on how fun that was in just a little bit. But, we had a window, you can do it anytime during this window. And I didn't know that was when all of the cards were going to come out in general. Right. So it was just, I'm at Disney, that my time off, I'm like, what's out now? There's still several content creators who have, reveals that I know they revealed that I haven't watched their stuff yet. And there's it's just so much.
So many. And we have all the reveals. I think the only thing we're missing is a few enchanteds. And obviously we haven't seen all the cards in English yet. So but the cards have been revealed in other languages, as we'll see when we do our main segment here, that we have some cards in different languages that we're trying to track down the art for. But yeah, what's your initial impression of, because we're going to talk more about the sets over the next coming weeks, but what's your initial impressions about these enchanteds?
I think they're beautiful.
Oh, super nice. I can't wait to see them in person, honestly.
We have 8 of them now, which begs to, I think that means there's 10 of them left, right? We've been getting 18 since set 3 when locations came out. I don't know if they're sticking to that, but we have 8 of them out now, and they're, excuse me, absolutely beautiful. I can't take my eyes off of the Devil's Eye Diamond. I don't play a lot of Ruby, and I don't even know if I have a use for that card, but when I look at that, I'm like, God, that's beautiful. And all of them, we have the same thing, but I keep going back to that one. I'm like, I kind of really want that one, but I know that everybody else wants the Tamatoa. Tamatoa is such a
medium
sick card.
Oh,
Yeah.
that card is
Medium
so beautiful.
Tammy.
That's easily
But-
going to
but-
be the chase card of the set. I don't know that there's another card that could get an enchanted that could possibly be that. Like, that's just so good.
Maybe-
And then
Maybe the Taka.
yeah, but this one's going to be a lot more like this card is beautiful. It's a character everyone likes, and it's a very, very playable card. So like it has like that perfect storm of stuff to it. But
in fairness, we think it's going to be playable, right? Like we
right.
Yeah,
Fair.
there's
That's fair.
want to give a shout out to Traverse Tavern. I saw them on one of the socials today. Who their hot take was, Tamatoa is the card that everybody's excited for, and going to ultimately find out is not that good. And I'm like, that's a take, but you're the one who made it first, so congrats to you if it turns out to be that way. But I know everybody who plays Sapphire wants that card, so.
But it's
Yeah.
It'll at the very least they'll end up like Mufasa, which was kind of expected to not be terribly playable in Sapphire, but it's still a very beautiful card and still worth a good bit of money. I am always kind of worried that like as a collector who wants to get all of these enchanteds, that some of these are just going to be there are too many of them that are too like pretty basically and like good design. Like I'm like, oh man, the diamond's a bad card, right? No one will play that. Yeah, but the enchanted's so nice. So like, are we gonna even have these like $20-$30 enchanteds that I can just kind of pick up at TCG Player with my partner link in the description that will help fund this this venture, this podcast?
I mean, I'll just say, like, of course, I'm going to buy a case of this set, and I will definitely get an item for sure. Because I've always either gotten no enchanted in my case or a location. So since there are no locations, which is honestly, it's funny. I didn't even realize there were no locations in this set. Like it wasn't something that crossed my mind until they like specifically mentioned it on the main stage this past Monday. And I was like, oh yeah. Maybe I was just like, oh, we just hadn't been revealed yet or whatever and stuff. Yeah. No locations this set. But they did seem to make it very clear that that's only attempt, that's just to get the dual inks off the ground, and we will see like locations aren't going away or anything. Who knows? Maybe we'll see some dual ink locations in the future. Dual ink items. I don't think we have any dual ink items. Or no, we do. Don't we have isn't Merlin's something? Not Merlin. Maurice's.
Maybe it's mostly characters and there is some songs that are
Maurice's Machine. Good. Yeah.
Well,
that's an item
is banished. You may return an item card with cost 2 or less from your discard to your hand.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second. I feel like there is but I'm a super excited about these enchantments. So the question that I have for you, Andy, is on a scale of 1 to 10, why is your wife gonna be an 11 for Show Me More?
It's not Maleficent though.
Yeah.
Oh, it is the Queen.
It is,
but I feel like she still likes the Queen stuff.
She is gonna still really want that one for sure. She's gonna want Tamatoa, and like the problem is too that like all of these shows that like the movies that we haven't watched, before Big Hero 6 was one we watched recently. And so before, like a Big Hero 6 card would come up and the Enchanted Baymax, she was kind of like, I don't really care that much. And then now we've watched the movie, and so now all of those are like in play, and we have to get those as well. So we'll have to get all, what is it, like 10 versions of that Hero Hamada.
Well, that's a great segue, because so we now have seen the set championship card, the Hero Hamada by Max Grecki. And we've seen now, so that'll be the playmat, and we'll have the special foil for it. But I think, Andy, you were talking about in our Discord earlier today about all the different versions of that card we're going to have.
Yeah, so there's obviously gonna be the regular card, and then the cold foil of the card, but then we have an enchanted Hero Hamada. Then we also will have the alt art plain bordered. You have a black border participation promo version of it, as well as the full art alt art enchanted foil promo
Top 8.
for the top 8. And then there'll also be a secret special edition autographed by the mayor of Lorcana himself.
Oh, yeah.
Golden Sharpie.
Well, I thought we weren't telling people about that.
Gold Sharpie for our largest Patreon donator of the year.
Yes.
So
That's a great shout out to Max Grecki, though. 'Cause we got to reveal his first card in Lorcana. I was super stoked about it. And then a week later, they released the Thunderbolt Puppy Shift card. There's also Max Grecki on this past Monday. And then he's got the set championship one. So I had to, I touched on it in our reveal video, just based on how many cards he has in Marvel Snap. He's just active and does so much great stuff. And as soon as I saw that he was involved in Lorcana, I'm like, he's going to have several cards, and we're already seeing 3 of them. I can't wait to see what else we get.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy though. I also I don't know if you noticed, but did you see how they've changed the promo logo for these and stuff? They've now transitioned to the same logo that's used at the DLCs.
It's technically the organized play logo.
Bingo.
So they're actually, I believe, the promos that we got with set 1 that are being released in Japanese and Chinese with their set 1 have this new logo instead of the traditional or in addition to the traditional logo. I don't recall.
It's in addition to the rarity logo, but not to the promo logo that we've had in the past is what is being
replaced.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to keep that logo around for any other reasons at all. But it makes me want to get, when I saw that picture of the Japanese promos today, I was like, kind of want to get those now too. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. But I'm really excited about these. And, we've talked kind of ad nauseum, I think, about the whole structure of the new set championships. I'm really glad that there's a card for everybody. I think there was a lot of folks that maybe were a little caught off guard with the fact that this isn't that kind of non-foil art that we saw at the DLC. Although, just as I reminded somebody in our Discord today, that Ravensburger actually did say that it would be on a traditional card when they revealed it. But I think because we had this discussion. If you go back on our episode,
no, I know
we had this.
I thought that was your prediction, though. I think you said you thought that's what it was going to be.
There was an announcement of the stuff. It all came out. The Forbidden Mountain actually was where we first saw the original posting of all the stuff, and then there were questions about it. But I agree with Vince. It did say that it was going to be on a
black border.
On the traditional. I think we, speaking for all of us, I think we're all still a little disappointed about that second playmat.
I don't know. It is taking away prizing from the people, and but on the other side of things, I think they ultimately want people playing the game, and more often than not, we saw people splitting the final game, right? So I don't know. It gives you something to play for, but as everybody else has pointed out, as far as pricing goes, with the exception of prize packs from the different stores, however they do it, there's no difference from second place and 8th place now. So I understand that side of things too, and I wish there was a better answer to alleviate that, but I still feel like the one playmat gives everybody something to strive for and make that last game matter. So I don't know. I know Andy's got thoughts on it.
You know what, Brad? When if and when I win my first playmat, and then I show up at a set champs with you in the future, and I make top 8 alongside you, our OVT members, we fist bump, and then I'm just gonna go leave and get probably nachos or barbecue or something, because 3+ more hours invested for a chance at a playmat, it makes the sort of replayability not as high. I get that you're like, oh, people split and you just want them to play out that last match, but this really isn't a move to get people to play more Lorcana. This is a move to save money, and at the same time they're making a move to get more people to show up to set champs because they'll get that participation card. But like I think this goes the opposite direction.
I would also maybe argue in that specific instance, though, maybe it makes, not that they want to stop you in that scenario from playing again, but maybe it opens the door for more people to actually win because people aren't going to want to play in those several hour sessions again, weekend after weekend after weekend. So I know you specifically, and we all do.
I mean, I'm going to
like playing Lorcana competitively, right?
I would just remind, though, to keep in context that we are very, very lucky in the area in which we live in to have as many game stores that support Lorcana that allow us to do this, that I don't think that same thing will necessarily translate into areas that have less support for Lorcana. And in fact, what I would say is that I wouldn't actually, and I think there's somewhat of a danger too, though, in an area like ours that we are so lucky about it with so many, is without that additional price support, there is a risk, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but that because, you know, what Andy is saying, people will come and maybe they don't play out and they leave, or maybe they decide, you know what, I already got my playmat, I got my card, I'm not going to go to another one again. That other stores may see, you know what, maybe there's not a whole heck of a lot of value in running these set championships. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think there's a risk when you change structure and pricing. And I'm a big believer. I'm really glad that Ravensburger is adding prizes, but I think taking away pricing that has long existed that people really enjoy does have some sort of negative effect as well. And there isn't this equal kind of push, you know. I would maybe think differently if what they had done is they said, okay, we're going to do 40 cards of this border for participation or for registering early or however LGSs want to handle it. And then we give the playmat to the top one, and then maybe the top 4 get the like a foil version of it, and then the top 8 get a non-foil version, like that next 4. And so there's still some more competitiveness. And so, you know, they're adjusting the pricing. They're not necessarily, you know, taking things away. And maybe you still have that second place playmat. I think there's ways in which they can structure. But we've talked about this a lot. And
I've said this before, that like the exact same thing. You have to leave the first and second place playmats or something. And we had this discussion in a Discord as well recently about it. The one thing that I am told is that what we are moving to is far more standard for TCGs in general. So you're right, Vince. They're taking away prizing from us, which hurts. But the idea of participation plus champion being like, you know, participation, top cut, and champion being the 3 prize levels essentially is what I'm told very common for these sort of TCG events. But I think another thing maybe, you know, I would have to talk to an LGS owner or two, but maybe they can help subsidize some of that cost, right? I think the events would be much bigger and better if stores could pay $100 for the kit and have a playmat, first place playmat, a second place playmat, 4 foils, 8 non-foils, full arts, and then, you know, 40 plus of the bordered ones, like you're talking about, you know, a full kit sort of thing. Because I agree, we've talked about this about our preference for pricing, but ultimately the answer is money, right? Ravensburger can't continually just give these out for free, especially because we've seen more and more stores, perhaps some that don't even really have the community to support it, getting these, you know, OP kits because Ravensburger is trying to just say, here, everyone have a kit. There has to be a certain point though where they say, okay, only the ones with community. Let's try and focus in the community a little bit at some of these stores.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's inevitably going to come. And here's what I'll say is that in history, Ravensburger has done a really good job of listening to the feedback from the fans. And so I'm confident that if this doesn't work out the way that Ravensburger wants it to, and people do end up being, upset, if you will, that there's not the play mat or whatever. And so, we're upset now.
I sold all
but
my
I'm
cards.
saying that I think you're out of the game, right?
Out of here.
Is that they might change. They might change it. And we don't know what's going to come as they release the Lorcana kind of play network, the Ravensburger, play hub that they have and stuff. There's a lot of things that are still coming down the line that we don't know. So with that, I do want to kind of transition to, before we get into Constituents Corner, we have to talk about it. Obviously, we want this to be a play, even though we're villains. We still want to have a very positive impact on the community. But I think we also need to be honest. And so today on Twitter, there was the apology and I would say, quote, apology.
That's a generous term.
I could take this, Vince. I'm the one who threw it in there. Yeah, the second place finisher in Melbourne. A lot of controversy around that. Issued an apology today and just kind of updated everybody regarding the situation. We already know that was it Jesse was his opponent.
Jesse
got his gold Mickey. All that was play, and the community came together and was very thankful for that. But they wanted to know what was going to happen with this cheating allegation, and very clearly, now that he's being punished, I'm confident in saying that he cheated. But he came out to explain the situation to the exact same, what everybody assumed happened, and rule sharking, and the scenario or the punishment was he's banned for 6 months from the game, and until August, yeah. And my first thought was, well, clearly you were in the wrong. They pinned it down and told you were wrong. Here's what's going to happen. But my initial reaction, and part of the reason why I was like, I think we should talk about it, because it's affecting the game. The community needs to know, and people are probably going to ask and what our thoughts on it were. But I was like, how many events is that going to, what's that punishment? It feels like a slap on the wrist, right? And I'm not the one to make punishments or whatever and everything. I'm certainly not a person who's doxing or bullying or advocate for any of that stuff. But I'm like, how many times does it have to happen before it happens again? Or before, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what I wanted. It's one of those kind of
I actually want to talk more about the non-apology, though.
Yeah,
non-apology. What really gets me about it is that the post was fine and he has an apology, but then he sends out what he says that he sent to Ravensburger to kind of explain his position, and it was there just seems to be no self-reflection about what was done wrong. And in particular, one of the judges, Albert, who was the, head judge of both Atlanta and I think Chicago, and was a tournament organizer at other
head judge first three, TO last three.
So, I made a really good point that it's a lot of harassment went towards that judge. And he's the one who initiates that by, trying to point and use these rules and quote unquote. And what really as I read it was I just don't understand. It's he just thinks he's in the right. I was just using the rules to my advantage and stuff. And it's no, you're just wrong about the rules, and you knew you were wrong about the rules. Yeah. And there's no kind of hey, I messed up. Made a huge mistake.
I messed up. He cheated earlier, and now he's being incredibly specific to the rules as a punishment to himself.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like,
it's
oh,
one of those
okay.
things. When
Yeah,
I
I
thought about
was
it
just
when it came out, and when I'm sorry to cut you off.
no.
I thought I had a window
It's
there,
all a
but
joke.
when it
We don't even need to be
yeah.
talking about it, really.
Yeah,
He
I
issued a
felt that was important
non-apology.
to bring it up, briefly. This was going to be super short, but well, all that goes through my mind when it happened, and even after tonight, is like when he's reinstated and eligible to play in the official events. Like, I don't want to sit across from him because that's extra pressure. Like, I should always be paying attention and everything too, but like ultimately, like I don't want to play this guy. And I know chances are very slim, but in that off chance that it does happen, like I just don't want to do it. Like, I don't like that kind of stuff in the community. I don't like the allegation, like
We need a
any
meme.
of that kind of stuff.
We need
like
a
it's just
meme that says
what?
it's like Brad sits down with his broom deck and like
Yeah.
his opponent,
You
and
know?
it's Rackham, and it's just Brad sweating. Judge, he's got a broom.
And
Looks
I'm
at
the
his
kind of guy that
handful of
would bring
brooms.
brooms to the. I have so much fun playing that. Imagine sitting down with a broom deck and him sitting across from you, and then you're
Oh,
like,
that's
"Well,
troll.
great."
Yeah, I
Like,
just
swear I
But,
didn't know you were my
yeah.
first opponent.
ultimately
honestly,
like this goes back to my original point that it's like I think for the health of the game, and I know we probably won't get it, and I just have to recognize this is that Ravensburger probably should be the one to be making these statements, like, like this is the punishment. It's 6 months, and instead we hear it from the player, and we get these apologies and stuff. And I agree. I don't think this is, particularly because he's got another actual cheating allegation like that was found to be true as well. This seems like one of those things where it's like, we're marching along to close to saying you should almost be banned from the like competitive circuit.
Yeah.
I'm willing to give folks a second chance and to grow, but you also have to show that you're willing to learn from those mistakes and grow. Right. And we're on the second strike here. And so I don't feel
the first
confident
official
about
strike, so I can understand Ravens,
but not
giving him
it's
another
a
chance.
big stage too.
Not for the community, though.
Right,
I think
not for the community, but Ravensburger isn't the community. It's just like with sports, right? Some people do things in college in sports that give them a bad rep, whether it be on or off the
field,
ball square, whatever. I was trying to encompass all of them. Okay. And a lot of that gets wiped clean to an extent in the pro play, if you will. So I am glad we found out about this. I wonder if maybe Ravensburger even told him, "Hey, you have to issue something," right? That way, Vince's power went out. Apparently,
yeah,
no, his power went out because now his microphone's not working either.
No, I'm here. I'm still here. Light went out.
Oh.
It was a very
it was very ominous.
Yeah, I was like, what kind of theatrics are coming next here? But I'm glad we found out about it. 6 months seems fair enough for me. It guarantees that he misses Worlds. Well, does it? Yeah, no. He's already not invited to Worlds. I think he's going to be allowed back for the next DLC circuit, it seems like, or at least maybe the end of it, perhaps. Depending on when they get going. And then, but you're right. All eyes are going to be on them.
They're not going to start the next DLC circuit until
we'll see.
Until after this.
So he'll be available for it. But the point is, all eyes are clearly going to be on him. I wouldn't even be surprised if he just had like a judge assigned to him, right? Like that seems reasonable. And then, but if
I think that's fair. I agree. I think we said what we were going to say. Let's go on and move to
went on too long about it. Yeah. All right, welcome. I'm happy to be back to my roots into my mailbag here. Our first question comes from Heather. She asked, "What do you predict will be the most meta-relevant card from each ink or primary dual ink color?" I guess let's start with Amber and go to. Is anybody ready? I can start if you guys are looking up cards. I know we didn't. But
I'm just gonna say that if she plays any Emerald card,
Oh
We're
yeah,
no
she's
longer
playing
friends
Emerald
again.
Steel. We all know
We're no
that.
longer friends.
we know what she's playing. Well, maybe she'll branch out, but no. Some of the cards that stood out to me. Let's start with Amber. Is I really like. I don't know how it's gonna play, but the 4-cost inkable 2/2 Snow White. I feel like she can be a nuisance out there. She cannot be challenged at any time. She's easily doable, removable with actions and songs and such. But I feel like she might be slotted in to create some shenanigans. The Glass Slipper might find, I don't know. There's some kind of princess stuff there that might work. And the Enchanted is really pretty too. And what's great about that is I was going to touch on it in the last segment. You only need 2 of them because you can only play 2 of them. You don't have to worry about a play set of those Enchanteds if you're doing max rarity.
Quite thematic when you think about it. Really,
sure.
thematic.
2 feet.
Yeah.
It's a bad card. It's only thematic, right? I don't think anyone would play 4 of them anyway.
Yeah. But the last one I was going to say also,
though, that if you can put in when you play this character, you may put an item card named the Glass Slipper from your discard on the bottom of your deck to gain 3 lore.
Yeah, so there's a really good synergy there, and I don't know how it slots into most Amber decks, but when that was released, I'm like, I like that combo. I don't know, I'll have to find ways to make it work. So both of those, and then the other one that I've been stuck on since it was released was the Pascal dual color Amber Amethyst. 4-cost uninkable. I did a short on it. I think we released it on YouTube in the socials. 4-cost uninkable Amber Amethyst dual color 3/3 with 3 lore and evasive. So those hyper aggro decks, if you don't have an answer in your hand for that Garden Chameleon, then that's big trouble, especially with the hyper aggro already being at 10 or 12 lore at the time that you play that card.
I gotta say, I really like this Mirabelle Madrigal Musically Talented. Shift 4, her own special gift. Whenever this character quests, you may return a song card with 3 or less from your discard to your hand.
It's a lot of friends.
Yeah. And so I think it's also just a really good, what I'm loving about some of these cards is I'm loving the ability to build significantly more thematic decks. Because one of the things that I've actually really liked past few weeks is playing more thematic decks. Like Brooms has been a lot of fun, although I got wrecked at locals tonight. And I felt bad because I wasn't feeling super well and stuff. And I was playing as Heather, and then she was just controlling my board, and I was like, forget it. I'm scooping. You win. But I love the ability that maybe, like a Madrigal deck might actually be kind of fun. Do I think it's going to be meta relevant? No. But I think some of these cards might be meta relevant now.
You got anything in those 2 colors, Andy?
I mean, Amber's the color of aggro, so like that Snow White is decent. It's expensive though. I do think was it the Prince? Is it Prince or Prince Philip? It's only in another language here. Il Principe. This the 2-cost uninkable 0/5 bodyguard.
Yep.
That is a 1 thick prince, if you will.
Yeah.
I think that card is fairly decent to come down on 2. It's definitely better than like the Simba. It takes a lot more to get around that, and then if you have something like a Daisy behind it, it's rough.
Exactly.
It's crab or bust basically. Minnie Mouse. The 2-cost uninkable 1/2. Whenever you play a character, this character gets +1 lore this turn. Whenever this character quests, chosen opposing character loses strength equal to this character's lore until the start of your next turn. So like turn 1 Daisy, turn 2 this Minnie, turn 3 Thick Prince, and any other 1-drop. This Minnie is now questing for 2. -2 on something. You've got the bodyguard. The one downside I think is that it doesn't have any lore inherently, which is kind of a bummer.
So you have to play something to get lore. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious. When that card came out, I'm like, there's some shenanigans probably to make her work. A lot of if you can like spam the board with your 1-drops after playing her, maybe, but like
the Prince.
I
what is it? The Prince Rockstar Stitch Pride Lands combo.
there you go. Yeah.
And with this
that's the deck I another fun deck that I'm playing.
Yeah, that you would play that Boomer Vince. That's like 4 sets ago. But it was fun.
It's
that
still
could
fun.
potentially work with it.
Yeah.
It's got even nicer tools now.
It's just slightly better because nobody plays Grab Sword anymore. I think is the real answer.
That is very fair.
It's just nobody plays that card, and therefore
I'm not saying it's not a deck I would take to set championships, Andy.
I don't know.
I mean, I know Andy over here only plays
not brave enough.
The meta decks. He net decks.
That's not true.
Yeah, I just net deck meta decks exactly.
Why are you siding with Andy? Andy always gives you trouble about all the
because literally today we were talking in the Discord about how I admired that he actually had a homebrew Emerald Steel that got him first/second in a set championship, and was kind of saying like, hey, that doesn't it feel great to win on your account, and not to
fun.
what everybody else is playing or the counter to what everybody else is playing, like I got really lucky with my matchups. I'm going to bring it up again, but the Mufasa, winning with the Mufasa at Dojo was like, it couldn't have been any better. Like I did it with my deck that I enjoy the most, and it was the most fun I've ever had playing Lorcana, and I did it with a deck that is incredibly off meta. So like, I don't know. It was just another discussion from earlier.
Meta.
Not incredibly, but
because
I mean, like,
if I call your Mufasa deck jank, you go Humble 1-set champions with it, Lynn's 1-set champs with it. It's won 5Ks before. It's top 8 at this. But then you win with it and you're like, man, look, I won with this jank deck that's super off meta.
It's not that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant, but
I know
I guess
playing
you're playing
these tier 2 decks, which can be more there's obviously a scale between, super fun, funny things that make you laugh, that are cool combos that when they work, they just like this huge dopamine hit or whatever. But, that line, it's from that end to
like
some
Ruby
of these more
Steel
competitive
Mill.
decks. Yeah. Like Ruby Steel Mill. Yeah. I think I've heard this said before that basically like, the best decks are these ones where you don't like interact. There's a lot less interaction in the higher end competitive decks and stuff, which can sort of be confused or perceived or experienced as less fun, right? If I play a Maui Shark down, now you can't quest with anything, and then I just play a bunch of actions and I win the game, right? If I play a Manor down and then I B-prep your board every time you get it up close to killing my Manor, and I just win the game. Tamatoa Dime, we just win the game. I just play like 3 daisies in the first 2 turns, and then I just like win the game, right? Like you're not interacting with each other in any way that's meaningful, and so it can be not fun. But I do like how Lorcana has this awesome spot sort of in the middle here where you can play decks that have these very fun interactions that are still, it's harder, but they still have an opportunity to win, win these more competitive events or
just adding on to that, I think what helps is that some of these fun decks can take advantage of the like limitations of the meta decks. They can kind of take advantage of some of the weaknesses, the downsides.
You'll usually get like, when you play, I don't know which one it was for Mufasa, but there's one deck where you're probably just like, I destroyed this meta deck and I'm not afraid of it at all. And then there's other ones where you're kind of like, it destroyed, like it becomes a less consistent. It's a less consistent deck is a lot of times what it boils down to. Because again, you're just trying to consistently draw cards and quest, gain lore in a non-interactive manner.
Yeah. we'll get back to the question because I think there's a lot here. We probably won't be able to answer every single ink color.
We'll talk about Emerald for sure because that's what Heather's interested in. And I'll start with the Universal Shift Baymax. Yeah.
Oh, Emerald. We're doing Emerald next. We're skipping Amethyst.
Let's do. Okay, go ahead and do Amethyst.
Amethyst, Honey Marin. Boom! It's like another White Rose or
instant lore.
Goat. Yep. Or Raja. 2 cost 3/3. It's what Ruby Amethyst needs. None of this. Get this Flynn out of here.
Emerald.
Universal Shift Baymax, I think, has a lot of potential. You can literally shift him on anybody. He's a 6 cost uninkable, but you can shift him for 4. Quest for 2. His ability is in another language, so I am not going to attempt to read that. But
heal everything. He heals. Universal Baymax heals everything.
Right. Heals everything. That's
right. He heals himself, like on top. Yeah,
on top of it. Yeah. So it takes in the damage that he's covering on the shift and healing it. So
and that takes care of Sapphire too. So let's do Ruby.
No,
because the other one in Emerald I want to talk about is Pete, Space Pirate. I feel like he's going to be a staple in a lot of Emerald Steel right now, where whenever this card is exerted, opposing characters can't exert to sing songs, and your pirate characters gain resist +1. He's a 5/5 quest for 2.
Maybe.
Shift 4.
Maybe.
So yeah, I feel like it hits all the stuff, especially the resist for Vince.
Pete on 3. This Pete on 4, and then it stops songs. It doesn't stop actions though, so it doesn't turn off. Be prepared still. I don't know. I think some people have memed that Emerald didn't get a lot of stuff in this set, but honestly, Drunk Baymax. I mean, sorry, Low Battery Baymax.
Baymax.
Low Battery Baymax. Basically, that's what they were insinuating in the movie, right? Was that
that's fair.
He was intoxicated. Low Battery Baymax is honestly not bad. It's an inkable, whatchamacallit? Bonsai.
All right.
Yep.
We should move on to the next one.
Not terrible.
We beat this question out of the park.
No,
you want to stop before we get to Sapphire and talk about Bell?
Honestly, I love it, but I love to answer the question, but we got to move on. We got to move on.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, boss. Well, Heather, you'll have to answer to Heather next week at Fortuna.
I won't be there.
Apologies to Heather.
No, see, that's why he did this. All right, next question is from Steven. Campton Inkswell asked, "What was my favorite Lorcana moment on this trip to Disney World?" There was a couple of them. The first one was the night I mentioned on our reveal stream, very briefly. The first night out, we got settled in, and I went, and actually I didn't mention this. I brought my broom deck with me because I heard that sometimes people are playing on the resorts, and I thought, hey, it'd be fun to play brooms, right? I didn't know, or at least I had forgotten, that All Star Movies has a Fantasia building, and outside the front door of the Fantasia building is 2 giant brooms, the bucket brigade holding the water bottle or the water buckets. So I took my Enchanted Yen Sid, my foil Mickey, or Ron's foil Mickey that he's let me borrow, and a couple broom cards, and took them out there in front of the gate and took or the door and got a picture with it. I thought that was really cool. But then I was wearing the jersey, of course, and I wore it out to Disney Springs that night. So I didn't feel like going back and changing. And the guy in the shop, 2 guys in the shop within the resort, was like, "Hey, is that a Lorcana team shirt?" And I go, "Yeah, that's my podcast." He goes, "You guys gave me a sticker in Seattle." And I'm like,
"Let's go.
Are you kidding me?" You were dressing up. You didn't hear the story because you were dressing up as the blot during the reveal when I was telling this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But and then his buddy, the one who was like, I guess, security at the time, because one was behind the counter, one was standing at the door. And he was like, he straight up tells the guy, "I told you." Really, and I was like, "That's so cool." I gave him a shout out on the reveal, and then the same thing happened. Or not that the same thing didn't happen, but I interacted with another guy in the Christmas shop 3 nights later when we went back to Magic Kingdom for the fireworks. Parker over there was talking about Lorcana. We brought up Lorcana for something while we were waiting on something. He's like, "Oh, you guys play Lorcana? Tell me about it." Excuse me. I was like, "Yeah, well, we actually have a podcast and we're revealing 3 cards in a couple days if you want to check it out." And he was really excited about that. He printed out a blank receipt and had me write down our team name, our rules of villainy on and everything so he could check it out. And But regarding Lorcana, it was the picture with the brooms. It was somebody recognizing the brand, and then just another guy randomly in the park told me he liked my Lorcana bag that Emily got me for Christmas, the backpack that you've seen at the locals where I carry all my stuff in. So just people are aware of it. The characters I had signed on the last night at Epcot, we had Mickey signed 2 cards, Minnie signed 2 cards, and Goofy signed one as well. I got the dancers from set 4 because it was Valentine's Day, and I thought it'd be really cute to have the Mickey and Minnie dancing cards signed. Right. And then I got the classic True Friend and Always Classy signed by both of those. So nice. Just overall, great experience. Disney Springs, I bought a single pack hoping for some magic, and I didn't get anything. I got a whale, Maui whale, but I ended up giving all the cards to a kid in line on the bus, getting ready to go back to the resort. So, but yeah,
you're
that's the entire
kind of love. That's what I'm here to.
I hope Martin Karp's proud of me because he told me to take all my bulk and pass it out to cast members. I'm like, bro, I got so much other stuff to worry about,
bro. Like, if I had season passes, maybe one day I would go there and just like make it rain bulk on people.
Yeah, just throw it.
But when you get like one Disney trip a year, like busy eating like churros and egg rolls and more egg rolls.
By the way, the cheeseburger egg rolls that you recommended, fantastic.
Oh,
I almost got them twice. The second time, Emily actually, hot take, Emily liked the pizza ones better.
They were good too. But, those were also really good. Yeah.
Yeah, we were back at Magic Kingdom 2 nights later to watch the fireworks, and I wanted to get them again, but the line was crazy. So we ended up going to Casey's Corner and getting hot dogs.
Fair.
But
now that was out. Now I need to go to Disney and get these egg rolls, these cheeseburger egg rolls.
As soon as we know when Worlds is, we can start planning, my guy.
Road trip.
Yeah.
Well,
road trip. I don't know if I'm flying anymore.
I tell you what, road trip might be the way to go because these planes are falling out of the sky. All right, and I'm flying. I'm flying this weekend to Atlanta for a work trip.
Yeah,
and, like I'm a little nervous for the first time. I'm a little nervous flying.
I would say
we got lucky flying. This is a real quick tangent. We got lucky flying out of Florida on Sunday, where there was a storm coming across the entire Midwest. So we got to get off, got to get in the air, but we had to go around it. So we had to go out of the way an extra like half hour, 45 minutes to get to St. Louis. Great. We landed. Everything's fine. Find out when we got down, we turned on our internet and everything. All the flights were like, unlike the entire East Coast, were just delayed because nobody's going to fly through that storm. So we're like, okay, we got home. And then like a couple hours later, Emily sends me a story showing that a plane landed upside down in Minneapolis. And I'm like, yeah, we're never flying again. Like, I'm thankful that nobody, there were some people that were hurt. Everybody's fine. And I'm glad everybody got out of that. But like, it's just scary right now, man. I have no interest in flying anytime soon.
I've been saying this for a while. Driving's the way to go. Road tripping is awesome. You just stop, stretch your legs, maybe hit up a couple LGS along the way, buy a pack or two. We need to do a Rules of Villainy road trip where it takes us way too long to get there because we stop at every single LGS along the way and open a single pack and post it on our Instagram.
Funny you say that because there's a question about a tour here.
Yeah. Oh, when are we going to get a world tour?
I was going to close with that, but I guess we can.
I know you're going to close to it, but like, you had this like natural segue to it.
I'm a fan of the Northeast.
Steve Witz asked in our live stream of our reveals on Sunday, when are we going to get a world tour, signing cards, kissing babies? Come to the Northeast. Well, if there's ever a DLC or something up there that gets us to all together, because I was going to mention when we all drove down to Atlanta, me, you, Kirsten, and Hunter, such a fun trip, great, and me and Vince drove to Chicago and met up with everybody. Great time, man. So like, I'm down for doing that again anytime. And if we can make it up to the Northeast, I will holler at you, Steve, and kiss some babies, I guess.
Yeah. DLC Joyzy.
And if you know some LGSs that want some live like streamers to come set up and do some live casting, let us know.
Yeah, we could do that. I don't. It's a long ways to New Jersey, but then again, if Kirsten lets me, I'll do anything for Wawa. I'll head up there and get me some Wawa.
All right. What's our next
right.
question?
Next one's from Jimmy. He asks their favorite reveal, not the card, but the presentation by a fellow content creator. And
I have to say, mine would be by my fellow Rules of Villainy co-host. What a great job you guys all did in the reveals. It was so awesome.
I was gonna say you guys, because I didn't actually technically reveal a card.
We're all
I was
so
gonna
great.
gonna say Andy,
listen,
the mayor, and Kirsten. I mean, the blot. The fact that somebody got the blot in our
Andy
our
just
chat.
dressing up.
Yeah,
like some people are like, "Is that Venom? What is Andy doing?"
Although like
impish Matt, yeah.
The funny thing about that is Brad is like continuing his story, and Andy's there in his costume, and knowing beforehand he was saying like, I can only last like 2 minutes and suffocate. I was like, wrap it up, Brad, wrap it up. We gotta we're gonna kill Andy on this live stream.
No.
It's like a not like velvet or whatever, but it's like a really fuzzy hoodie that I just wear backwards. So like, I just like can't see, can barely breathe. But and then it's just
what's funny is
paper eyes.
If you watch the video back, like I didn't even notice that Andy sat down for the entire time that you're freaking out, Vince. I'm like, I don't think I knew that Andy was there. I had to look up and be like, oh yeah, that happened. Like that's happening. But yeah, great bit. And I think everybody loved it. I was gonna say, because I did watch I've seen a lot of them now. I was nervous going into our reveal because Katie at the Lore Keepers Inn did such a great job with her history lesson of 100%. Atlantis and doing Restoring Atlantis card, which now has an Enchanted that she's super excited about. Great presentation there. Some other ones I saw on Instagram was Enchanted Kim had 3 of the coils, one that a lot of people do not like. Might touch on that. I'm not sure. Jordan at the Illuminaire Healthcare Companion, a big Baymax fan. I was so happy for him that he got a actual Baymax card. I think it was the low battery one.
Seattle too.
We did, yeah. Great guy.
Baymax.
Yeah, I think he got the low battery one that you were just talking about. Of course, Travis, local Rudros here in St. Louis. He did a whole skit with Bucky and training staff, I think it was called. About a 10-minute thing there. Really impressive there. Dad Kana did a beautiful thing with his dogs where his Basset Hound was wearing a sign that said Perdita cosplay, and he revealed Roger Darling from 101 Dalmatians. Really cute. And then the last one that I've seen, and there's dozens more that I haven't seen. Again, I was at Disney World for the last week, so I'm still playing catch up. But Monday night, when I was at the end of, we didn't get Jock this set. If it, I didn't touch on it at all this podcast, but I was all day. I know reveals are coming. Somebody's got to have Jock. He never came, and then Smorkana had one. They did a whole presentation where they were training a puppy card. It was a card. It was very clearly an animal. They were potty training and spending time with and taking it outside. Very, very cute. Love that thing. Turned out to be Freckles, the Dalmatian from 101 Dalmatians. I'm like, no, Jock. But that was another one. Absolutely fantastic. And that's a good actual plug moment. They just wrapped up their S'more Awards. Yeah, we're going to be presenting one of the awards again here. I think this Friday. I don't know when it comes out, but that's when the submission is due. So we're going to record a bit for them, and they're going to have their podcast come out with their favorite cards, different categories from the set. You guys should all check it out. We'll link it below.
Get it out this weekend.
Maybe before you hear this, maybe after you hear this. Who knows? The timeline gets a little messed up.
But definitely check them out. We did it the first time. They have a great podcast. We got to do a guest spot before, and it was so much fun, and they're so much fun to listen to. So definitely check that out. But those are the ones that I wrote down for this. I'm sure there's more. Again, I haven't seen them all, but everybody who got one did a fantastic job, and I hope that we all get the chance to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think honestly, you spoke for both Andy and I on all those reveals.
Yeah, those are all great.
Probably say the most, and if you haven't, you should definitely go check them out. I think the list of all the content creators is still up on the main official Discord for Disney Lorcana, and you should definitely go check those out. What's the next question?
Actually, I was gonna say I do want to plug. Be sure to make sure you send your feedback to Ravensburger I know I said Jacques or Riot, but let's be honest, rioting is not acceptable.
What is this, Philly?
Yeah, it's just not acceptable.
Sorry,
But
Philly.
do please make sure you voice your opinions with Ravensburger, that we are at the very least very displeased at the lack of Jacques in this current set.
But
Next
it's not
set,
just Jacques.
or we
It's not
actually
just
riot.
Jacques. We need Jacques and who else?
Figaro, but Jacques most
Figaro,
importantly.
yeah, Jacques is
Jacques
the
and
biggest one.
Figaro.
You can't give us
No.
Trusty,
No,
Freckles.
I'm just gonna be clearly honest about this. Is that the Mrs. Mayor needs to play Lorcana, and that was the requirement. Is that we need both Jacques and Figaro, and so we didn't get either of them, and so yes, we have to get them next set. Or alternatively, you need to get us to 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, sure. I swear,
Jacques
after
or
all
Riot?
of the memeing and stuff I did about it amounted to nothing. Like, I was in the official Discord, I was on socials just being silly about the whole time, assuming that he was coming, and then the last reveal happened and it was Bell, and I'm like, they really didn't do Jock. Like, are you kidding me? Everybody was like, they know me now as the Jock guy, and then like
Citizens of Lorcana posted to Twitter. Our condolences go out to Rules of Villainy for the lack of Jacques reveal this set. Like, I think Brad got like flowers sent.
I just joked on Twitter before we started tonight that I cropped Trusty and Jock out of the background of Lady's card, the Dual Link Emerald Amber card, and said, "This is my new playmat, low res and everything." I really wanted the Jock one to do it with. But, yeah,
Nice.
enough
All
about
right.
that. Let's do one more question here. Another one from Jimmy. He goes, "What cards are you thinking about for a fossil list of any color pairing in the next meta?" I've already
None.
began thinking of. Well, no, you're not. This
Boss
question
is
is
a
probably
bad
directed for
card.
me. No, he's a great card, and you will respect that. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I don't. That was really harsh. I'm sorry. What one thing, like Red Fossa had not seen a lot of cards that people were gonna slot in to the existing deck up until Monday. There's a new 7-cost Goofy, I think, that's in Ruby that is evasive and it hits like a truck. I think that was the first card that I at least saw Lindsay talking about being one of the ones that 7-cost inkable, 7/6 evasive. Whenever this character challenges another character, your other characters get +1 lore this turn. So it's like a reverse super goof. So he doesn't get the lore for challenging, but everybody else does. So depending on what your board state is, which with Red Fossa could be 1 to 5 cards, basically, could be pretty good. But I haven't taken a good look at. I actually have taken all my decks apart in lieu of like the new set coming up because I have no idea what I'm going to do. The other one that stands out a lot is the Bagheera, which we're going to talk about here in the main segment here in just a second. In Steel Fossa, where he's a big bodyguard that comes out, and when he's banished for any reason whatsoever, he basically has grab your swords on a body. So he's a 4/3, 5-cost inkable, quest for 2, and he's a bodyguard. I think that's going to be a pretty strong card in not just Fossa deck, but any steel deck to get that. He's got a less of a body than Chi and Po, but he goes out with a bang. So those are the two ones that have been sticking around. I've experimented with other versions of Mufasa, which I'm sure we can go into in length at another time because we're running out of it here. But those are the two cards
Yes, we are.
that stand out. Yeah, so
TikTok.
I'm trying to rush through this. So
You guys hadn't gone on about the cheater earlier in his non-apology.
yeah, I almost didn't bring it. Or yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yes, Andy, for trying to put the blame on us over here.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like your questions answered by the villains in the future, please be sure to comment on this video on YouTube, our socials, or join us in our Discord where you can comment in the Constituents Corner channel. And I'll kick it to you, Vince.
Yeah, thanks. We're going to move on to our main segment here, where we're going to rank the legendaries. And as you can see, it's like herding cats to keep this show on track. I'm just messing with you both. I love you both. I hope you know that.
Yeah.
All right. Andy, I think our first card we're going to talk about to rank here, Sorry, it's so small. Are we ranking them S tier to D tier? Is that it?
That's
yeah.
fair. Yep.
S tier to D tier.
Got it. S tier to D tier.
Are we locking them in when we put them there, or are we going to switch them around as we go through?
We can
switch them around. Yeah,
that's fine.
So I'll start with this first card here. This first one is we're going to start in Amber. We're going to go in ink order here. So we got the 2-cost uninkable Minnie Mouse Storyteller, 1 for 2. Gather around. Whenever you play a character, this character gets +1 lore this turn. The other ability is just 1 more. Whenever this character quests chosen opposing character, loses strength equal to this character's lore until the start of your next turn. And it actually doesn't have any native lore to it.
Yep. We just talked about it briefly a little bit ago when going through meta-defining cards. It's an interesting one. The uninkable does not feel good, but if you're and the hyper aggro decks already run a lot of uninkables, especially if you're running the new Pascal, which I think you should be. So it's going to be hard to slot that in a hyper aggro deck, but I think that's where its home probably is with the amount of characters you're spamming the board with, and the fact that you can keep some people alive on your board with the strength reduction on subsequent turns. But the goal of that deck is to gas out. You're just full gas all the time. I don't know that Mini gets online in time for it to be a factor to actually save you, based on the matchup that you're having. Always based on the matchup, but it's an interesting card. I don't know how it fits in at least that deck or another deck that's trying to do something like that. What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think I mentioned it actually 5 minutes ago, right? That I said it was,
right. Yeah,
it was decent. The fact that it's no native lore though is definitely making me softer to it. And I think while it seems like a card that I am excited to see how it would work in some of these more aggro lists or whatever, I just the more I think about it, the more like we just have better cards to play than this one.
So what are we thinking? C tier for this?
I do want to take limited format into consideration to some extent here. And so in that regard, I think the card's also still pretty bad. So I
was wondering where you were going with this, and I was like, okay, I'm willing to hear him out.
I want to refrain.
I don't see this opponent doing very well.
I guess you could I'm going to refrain from calling them bad, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know that I would know what to do with it.
Look, I mean,
is what I was kind of alluding to before.
Yeah, and I guess we should say I'm happy that we have all of these cards, and there's a lot of good characteristics to some of these cards. I think, at least in my understanding of this tier list that we're making, we're talking about sort of their meta relevance. The question we got from Heather earlier, how we think these will sort of affect the meta going forward, whether or not they'll be playable in some extent. Definitely lenient here if we want to bump it up a little bit because the art is awesome. That's cool, but these cards aren't bad.
What I would say is, if you love this card, please still love this card. We're not trying to hate on anybody's favorite card or favorite character or favorite artwork or favorite architect. All we're talking about is our own opinions in ranking these out, and we're ranking them based on how we think they're going to fit in the competitive atmosphere of the game. So, and I think for this purpose, I think a C is pretty generous, actually, for this character. Although I could be proven wrong. Do you want to read the next card, Brad?
Sure. This is Aurora. Let me move my English version over here. 1 second. I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared to read it. Yeah. Aurora, Waking Beauty is a 3-cost inkable, 1 strength, 4 willpower, storyborn hero princess, singer 5. So it means she can sing 5. Cost 5 songs. Sweet Dreams is her ability. Whenever you remove 1 or more damage from a character, ready this character. She can't quest or challenge for the rest of the turn. She quests for 2. Again, beautiful card. I'm not familiar enough with Steel Song. The Singer 5 is important, but I feel like on 3 you're still looking for Ariel to find those songs. But the fact that she quests for 2, and if you already have songs at hand, maybe she's a better turn 3 to get out there. I think you're always looking for songs though, so I don't know. She's obviously a steal song card. The 2 lore helps quite a bit. 1/4 that makes it a little bit more hard to deal with.
It's a good card, honestly.
It's a good card. Yeah,
and you think that it's mostly in steel? I would think this might have some synergy with like a ruby with the giving damage and then amber
that's fair.
removing damage.
Yeah, if you can get that all, I mean that makes sense. Maybe she fits in Fasa even, but you're not seeing songs in Fasa, so you're not getting the singer ability out of that. But the 4-body 2 lore and being able
is the 4-body 2 lore 3 cost singer 5. If you think about it, like you have the aerial for one, the aerial misses sometimes, right? Let's say you're not necessarily playing like a whole new world deck, or even if you are, you want something that's able to sing a 5-cost song. Ariel dies to the same stuff, or is banished to the same stuff that this character is. The 2 lore is really nice. The sort of readying from the healing is kind of an added bonus, I think. I do think it has some decent synergy with Rapunzel, which is really, really cool. But I think this is not instantly better, but I think this is instantly in the conversation of 3-cost singer 5s: Gaston, Ariel, and this.
So what are we thinking here? A tier, B tier?
I'd put this at A for now.
Yeah, I think A's pretty good. I need to see it in action, but I do like it. It's a very beautiful card. We'll see what happens.
All right, Andy, you want to read this spicy Donald Duck that was revealed?
I should have got the duck.
Yeah, your opponent. I don't have it in front of me, but opponents need to gain 25 lore. Opponents need 25 lore to win, right?
Yeah, Donald Duck, Flustered Sorcerer, is a 7-cost uninkable, 5 strength, 6 willpower. Ability is Obfuscate. Opponents need 25 lore to win the game, and he quests for 3.
S tier, next card. All right. The Queen.
It's a very specific card. I understand the reservations people have about like, oh, this is just a card you throw out at the end of the game and hope to like buy yourself a turn. The 6-body is a little bit extra to deal with. He's not going to be exerted immediately, so they have to have some kind of spot removal to get rid of it right away. You got your Let It Goes, you got your Zeus doesn't get rid of it, but you have Dragonfires. There's some new removals that come out this set that cost a little bit more. I don't know. I doubt those get fit in.
Was he cost 7? Right? He's a 7 on Inkable?
7 for out of order. Yeah,
isn't it work in Blurple? This could work in Blurple the same way that Peter
that's
Pan
my thought.
As
much as I played Blurple this last set and kind of getting back into it this past weekend was or this past Monday night, I kept thinking like, wow, if I could drop a Donald at some point, that'd be a lot of fun. It would be a late game, of course, because it's 7 ink, but like it could absolutely buy at least one turn if need be. And the fact that we're not going to talk about it tonight, but the Blurple I'm kind of started cooking today is like sounds like a lot of fun, and I think Donald might have at least a 1-of slot in it.
I think it's a spicy take. You know what? I do actually think this might be an S tier card, mostly because I know. I'm going out of the box here.
I trolled Vince into it.
No, it's not a troll. I honestly, seriously think this in Blurple has the same like use case that a card like Pirate's Life has, which is to extend the game longer in order to close out the game. And so it ends up being is it going to be as good as? No, but I think this is a spicy card. I like it.
Definitely spicy. I wouldn't say even as much as I like it. I wouldn't say S tier, but I do want to play with it.
My vote's S tier.
I think it's not like a Pirate's Life so much as it is the Peter Pan, the green Peter Pan that stops the lore gain until they challenge. And in that regard, it's in some ways better than the Peter Pan. I think I don't know if I mentioned it on here, if it was just in talking with you guys or some friends or whatever, that like the Peter Pan is really nice because if they have one singular character and they're trying to get across that finish line, they now have no way to challenge and quest in the same turn. So you just literally can't meet that condition of that Peter Pan. But this one you could still do it. So like, they've got a full board or whatever. Blurple can't clear a wide board, so you slap this down. It only buys you 5 lore, right? And granted, 7 cost to buy you 5 lore is certainly going to do better than a Hades, which at the most is going to remove something like a Gantu or a 2 or 3 lore quester more likely. So it definitely brings its value to the table, and
but here's the thing, and this is why I actually think
it's not the same as Pirate's Life.
I don't think this card is the same as Peter Pan, because Peter Pan has to come in exerted.
Well, it comes in exerted on purpose.
Yeah,
so Peter Pan has to be exerted to have the effect, but really you don't.
I'm just saying that means then you have to challenge that character to remove it, and so there's an easier pathway in which to.
So you're saying that
deal with it,
right,
versus having to have like some sort of hard removal, whether it be a Maleficent monstrous dragon, whether it be Lady Tremaine, if it's like the only character on the board. Like you have to have some other like actual like answer to this card,
right?
Either some way to exert it.
Their answer is 5 extra lore is really going to be the easiest answer, especially in decks that don't have an answer to this.
Right.
The point of the Peter Pan, though, is that in decks that don't have an answer to it, they just can't gain lore ever until they challenge. So it's easier to turn off, but it is a bigger restriction. I think Donald's good and fun and spicy, but I think in reality, you might find that only delaying 5 lore isn't enough, unless you're like... It's a desperation 5 lore, right? You're probably already there.
I guess what I would say is like I could think of
my bad.
It's a card in Blurple that you might So where are we putting this? B.
I'm
S
thinking
or
B.
A.
I can't get on board with
S.
Let's
do A. Let's do A.
Okay, if you want it, yeah. I'm in B. I'll let Andy be the deciding factor.
We can put it in A. I think it's fun. It's certainly
It's a fun card for sure, and
we're probably going to talk more about it in the future. So
I'm excited to play it. I can't, I can't get on board with S, even really A right now. But I'm excited to play it. That's what I want to say.
All right, next card in Amethyst is the Queen, Jealous Beauty in Villain Queen Sorcerer Storyborn, 4 Inkable. 4 strength, 3 willpower, quest for 1 lore, not an ordinary apple. Exert, choose 3 cards in an opponent's discard and put them under their deck to gain 3 lore. If you moved at least 1 princess this way, gain 4 lore instead.
So
it's an interesting card.
It puts cards in either deck for 3 lore. Any 3 cards? In either
it's the opponent's card.
In your opponent's in
opponent,
an opponent's
deck. Is it up to 3? I'm sorry, I think my version
it says choose 3.
Yeah, it says choose 3 cards.
On Mushu Report, it says choose 3 cards.
So what if you can't choose 3? What if they only have 2 in their discard?
That's a good question.
Well, yeah, until we get an English version of this, hard to answer that.
Yeah.
Well, let's assume that it's choose 3 or up to 3.
If it's up to 3, it's just a gain. It just means it gains 3 lore, right? Because it's an exert effect. So like,
yeah. I assume this is
3 lore.
choose 3 cards.
Yeah,
like not up to 3s, because I think
then if they don't have 3, then you can't use this, which is kind of sus. And how much ink does it cost? Sorry, it's really
4 cost
for me.
inkable.
4 cost 3/4.
4/3.
4/3. I mean, like, it's a 4 cost 4/3 that quests for 3 is basically what it does, with like that it calls me on it, which does have some meta relevance given Lilo in a discard or actions from a shark in their discard.
Or what's soon to be item rush too with Ruby Sapphire.
Yeah, the items.
Those items out of there.
I don't know.
Because those items from the discard are going to start giving the Ruby Sapphire lore too.
In limited, it's really nice. I really like this in limited. I think this is probably a B though.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard with all the strength reduction that we've seen so far, that for her to survive turn 4 and actually get the exert effect on. I like the idea of it. I don't know how successful it's going to be. I think if you can actually do that in some capacity, that's fun. But as far as competitive, I would go down to actually C tier probably.
I would probably say C tier too, but I'm fine leaving it at B tier.
Okay,
because it might be okay in limited.
It's going to be really good,
but it's a legendary. Like, I mean, unless it's like one of those frequent legends.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. Next card, Hercules.
The Return of Hercules. You want me to get it?
Yeah.
5 cost Inkable. The Return of Hercules is an action. Each player may reveal a character card from their hand and play it for free.
It's an
action,
not a
spicy card. It's just an action.
Okay.
Congratulations, Wonder Boy. You'll make one heck of a god.
I think this card should be its own game. I think there should be like a mini game that's just like for fun that you do in between rounds or whatever, where it's like, okay, we both Hercules. Like it's Return of Hercules. Let's play Return of Hercules, and we both pick a card, and then we flip them over at the same time.
Andy, you just need a standard playing deck of 52 cards, and that game's called War.
No, but this is more fun because like you strategically it's just like rock paper scissors, but with like 1,500 Lorcana cards, and so you just like okay, like obviously good meta ones are like Maleficent Dragon, but like what if there's this like Hades, or you just flip them over and then you know. Play them out and see who ends up with the better board state because of it.
I think this card will be fun and multiplayer.
It's going to be fun for sure, especially in multiplayer. The way that Steve Warner talked about it on the main stage, because he talked about it in the sense that it was a multiplayer game where he's like, yeah, so the player resolves this card and they reveal their card, then the next player, right. And I'm like, oh my god, he's thinking about it in the sense of multiple people, flipping cards over or whatever, and then describing the the bag and how it works and everything. Because first, you resolve this card, so each player is going to have an enter the board action possibly in the bag, and then the active player is going to resolve first. So like if you both pull dragons, sure you can play a dragon and destroy something on their board, but they're going to play a dragon just to destroy yours. So you got the bad end of the deal there, right? So there's ways to manipulate this where you can try to discard them first, then play this, and then high roll, your big cards. But ultimately, at a 5 cost action, it's
probably not playable, right?
It's expensive, right? Like at 5, you're still trying to get characters on the board, which again, this will get you a high one, but you're also gambling with, what they're going to do with it as well.
I think this might be a D tier.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun to experiment with.
Yeah, I think it's fun in multiplayer, but it's unfortunately like it's hard to like grasp multiplayer because Ravensburger doesn't fully support that, in my opinion. The
game supports it. They just don't.
The game supports it, but like they don't really support it in their OP.
They just don't have an official rule set for it.
Yeah, and so
which
I would love to see
that they're working on. Yeah,
yeah. But we play it a lot at leagues and stuff. So
but we have a lot of fun.
What's this Tremaine do?
Yeah, so Lady Tremaine. So this is a 6 cost uninkable in Emerald. Lady Tremaine, bitterly jealous. 3 strength, 3 willpower, storyborn villain. The ability is that's quite enough. Exert, return chosen damaged character to the player's hand. Then each opponent discards a card at random, and this card quests for 2 lore.
This is an interesting one.
Wait, you said any opponent? Damaged opponent.
No,
damaged character.
Right. So you can do your own character, but then the opponent still has to discard a card.
That's interesting.
Then each opponent discards a card at random.
Yeah, again, we're not playing multiplayer here, Vince, but you're right. Each one. Okay. 6 cost uninkable though is really kind of expensive. So it's really a turn 7.
All the Tremaines are 6 cost uninkable. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
I honestly, as much as I like this, because I think it's kind of spicy, I also think this is a D tier card.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like it has a good effect. It's just like I don't know.
I just don't think you're gonna ever realize that
So,
effect.
actually, let's be real here.
You have to exert for it. It's not enter and it's not on quest. You're just exerting her.
Let's be honest here. We just played Hercules last turn. So we got this out on turn 5. Okay.
Get out of
So
here.
we get the ability on turn 6. All right. That's a C tier if I ever saw.
That's fine. I mean,
we hear rules ability no C tier. Very well. Okay.
I think it's D tier, but I'm not gonna argue with C tier. You want to take on
It's
Baloo?
probably D tier. Baloo?
Who?
I can read Baloo. I actually have a picture of that card in English.
Cool.
Baloo is a 6-cost uninkable old Iron Paws. He's a 5/4 Storyborn ally. Fight like a bear. Your characters with 7 strength or more can't be dealt damage. And he quests for 2. This flavor text says, now move. That's it. Now give me a big bear growl. Scare me. Sergio M is the artist. Sergio M. This card is also pretty unplayable, and it's kind of a D tier. You don't have a lot of characters with 7 or more. It's basically just Maui Shark, and in the meta currently, and like, I mean,
I feel
like it has some really. Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like he's meant. There's been a lot of cards this set that I recall, or they're just beefing up your strength for. Or like I think the red coil. I think that gives you strength, and that's at the start of your next turn, maybe.
So you're saying with some strength beefing makes everyone a 7 strength character that can't take damage.
I don't know. I'm trying to be an optimist here because I really like the art. The
art is great.
As soon as this card came out, this is one of the cards I saw while I was in line at a ride, and then people were just like poo-pooing it, and I'm like, well, it could work in some capacity. We just haven't thought about it yet. But I think that's just me about every card, though.
The best thing I can think of is like if you play this on 6, and then like the Hercules, the 5-cost uninkable rush Hercules 7/3 would be great target to not take any damage.
I'm just gonna quote Spessy here and be like, yeah, that's not good, right?
Yeah, it's not good, right, mate?
when he was reviewing our reveal,
it's not good. Next,
thanks, Bessie.
You want to take this one, Brad? The Radigan.
4-cost. Radigan. 4-cost inkable Radigan, nefarious criminal, 3/3, storyborn villain. A marvelous performance is the ability whenever you play an action while this character is exerted, gain 1 lore. He quests for 1. Why stop the show when you can simply steal it? So he's a significantly cheaper Maui. He has to be exerted.
Rule of villainy. Why does that not say the X rule of villainy? Why stop the show when you could steal it? Come on,
that's a good one too, right?
Come on, Ravensburger. It was like
a good one.
3 words you had to add before that flavor.
But you know what?
It's not a bad
card. This is a good card. I think this is a good card.
But in a deck that's doing that with Maui already, is there any world where they get this out on 4 or before Maui to try to get that ability? You know what I mean? Like,
I think it brings that ability to other lists. The reason Maui Shark didn't work so great in like the Ruby Amethyst burn was because it was too expensive. By the time you got to 6 naturally, it's just like meh. You already did your whole game plan, kind of. But with this being a little cheaper, I think there's shift Radigans out there. Yeah, there's shift Radigans out there. Like, I don't know if they're any playable, but this card.
The only downside to this over the Maui is that you has to be exerted. But I think this be
exerted, and he lasts 1 turn as a 3/3, right? Unless you can protect him in some way.
He's gonna last 1 turn. Probably C tier.
Yeah, C tier is probably right. All right.
Okay.
Next up is 6 inkable Tamatoa, happy as a clam. 4 strength, 5 willpower, storyborn villain. The ability is Coolest Collection. When you play this character, return up to 2 item cards from your discard to your hand. And the second ability is I'm beautiful, baby. Whenever this character quests, you may play an item for free. And it does quest for 2 lore.
S
Can
tier.
we
Next
snip?
card, Scrooge McDuck.
Yo,
All right.
Well, before, can we clip that? Vince just, I'm beautiful, baby.
I'm beautiful, baby.
I'm beautiful, baby. It was good. That was a good one.
I read it so well.
S tier.
Yeah, that is the card that everybody is clamoring over. It seems so spicy. Like it's gonna.
Good one, Brad.
Thank you,
Good one, Brad.
thank you.
Good one.
It is after 11, and my jokes are nailing. Yeah, it seems like a lot of fun. The item decks are just gonna have just a blast playing with it. Like we joked earlier, it could flop. It could be a realization that it doesn't work in. But we know just our teammate John is already cooking up everything he wants to do with this card and the new bell and everything as well. I would not disagree with it being our first and only S tier at the.
He already took I think he said he already took out another mortgage
loan
on his house to put up the ad for buying 4 enchanted.
And it's also an enchanted.
Yeah, his kids' college fund has already been promised these enchanteds.
Let's just hope it didn't flop like the Oswald.
Sheesh, bro. You're calling him out, bro. You're calling him out. Yikes.
He was excited about Oswald, and I put some time into Oswald the last month or so in a fun items deck. When it works, it works. But
Emerald Sapphire Aussie deck is actually pretty nice.
In fairness, though, to him, though, I think he has gotten the value up because those were printed in such limited amounts in that set. So I think he got them at the right price.
Hey, heck,
next
maybe
card?
this item deck is going to get Oswald in it. Maybe he'll find some fun way to include Oswald. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, speaking of more items, Brad, you want to talk about the Scrooge? Oh, okay.
All
right.
Scrooge McDuck. 4 cost, inkable, resourceful miser. 4/4. Quest for 1. His first ability, he's a storeborn hero. Nothing to see there, but first ability, put it to good use. You may exert 4 items of yours to play this character for free. The second ability is Fortune Hunter. When you play this character, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal an item card and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So, Scuttle ability, and you can exert 4 items to play it for free.
So you're essentially not going to play him on curve because you're not going to have 4 items out there. I mean, you could play him on curve, but you're not going to play him for free.
Popsicle on 1, ramp on 2.
Yeah.
3 more popsicles on 3. Play him for free. And you still got 1 ink left over for, you guessed it, a Fortisphere.
Some kind of item deck. I don't think you play him on 4 or 5, but late in the game, like when you're flooding the board with items and Oswald and whatever the divine queen. There's ways to flood the board with those
I'll
items
give
and stuff.
C tier for fun.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just so hard to really determine where these cards are going to end up in the meta because
you know, I gotta say, I'm a big Scrooge McDuck fan. I love DuckTales, but I want to see more Flimheart Glomgold.
We have
I tried to do the woohoo, but my throat is so sore that.
Bro, you're like that person out there who's like, why don't we have more Phantom Blots? There's only one of them in the game. Like, Flintheart is a pretty deep cut, mate. All right, you should be happy you got one. I mean, we don't even have
a deep as Phantom Blots.
We don't even have
Mike. So happy we got that reveal.
Listen. Phantom Blot is a deep cut, although we did have folks sending us the comic book that he was in.
Kira.
But I will just say, Flintheart Glomgold is a major villain in the DuckTales.
Like Scrooge's neighbor. They just feud a bunch.
Okay, all right. Anyway, next up.
Mickey
Where do we end up with him? Where do you put him at? C?
Oh,
I put him in C. He's inkable.
C, okay.
Yeah, I think C's fine.
He doesn't deserve D.
All right, so we got 2 cost uninkable Mickey Mouse Inspirational Warrior, 1 strength, 1 willpower, Dreamborn Hero, and the ability is Stirring Spirit. During your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge. I'm sorry, I kind of laugh because it's the 1/1. During your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, you may play a character for free. And the flavor text says he leads the way with a steadfast heart and a quest for one lore.
Vince, this is where your resist shines, and we beef it up with crab, and then
okay. You're fair. Crab in a Ruby Gem of this deck, but I'm sorry. I just like reading the text as like when this character banishes another character.
That's the hard part of it is the first thing you think about is you either beef him up with an item with strength or like Vitalosphere or something like that, but my first thought was crab because I naturally gravitate toward Amethyst. So an Amethyst Steel is I think it'll be a really prominent deck this set with Jafar and the illusions and stuff. I don't know that this card fits in it, but giving him Challenger and then busting out a what's a high cost Amethyst card,
Goofy.
Big Elsa for Goofy there you go, a Steel Goofy. Any way you could cheat out that night for a day. Peepo, as we call him here.
Giant Peepo.
A 10-10 Goofy quest for 3 or 4. That's insane.
Yeah, this card is bad. I'm sorry. Like
F tier, a D tier. We don't have an F tier. Sorry.
This actually
You're
like
S tier.
might be the worst of the legendaries we've talked about thus far.
I like the thematic of like that they've done with him, both this one and the Trumpeteer, where like Mickey's calling his friends to bring out something. It's a very hard combination to pull off, and I think most competitive decks aren't going to waste their time trying to put this 2-cost 1/1 in there to do it. But the fun decks are, and I would absolutely try to do a night deck or something to get that.
Well, that's the thing is I wish this had a night classification. And it doesn't. It's a Dreamborn hero.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And fair. I also think too, it's just too expensive. It's a 2 the uninkability isn't really what gets me, but it's at a 2/1/1. I don't even know if this would be playable if it was a 1-drop uninkable 1-for-1, but at least then you could play it on 1. But the amount of answers you have at the 1 at 1,
you can't play it on 1 or you're gonna like. He's automatically going to high roll, right? It needs to be 2 so the other player, whether he's on the draw or the play, has an answer to try to deal with him.
Yeah, well, but you can answer this on 1 with like
fire. Not if you're on the play. Oh, I guess on the cannon.
Triton's
you're right.
Decree.
Yeah, baby.
Okay. Yeah, I was like that. And you know that somebody will be playing the Triton's Decree against you.
It's true.
Absolutely.
So I think this is it now. All right, last card. All right.
Last card. Yeah, we got Bagheera. He is a 5-cost. It's a steel card. 5-cost inkable, 4 strength, 3 willpower, quests for 2 lore, storyborn ally, and he's a bodyguard. So he can interplay Exerted if you like, and his ability is You Must Be Brave. When this character is banished during an opponent's turn, deal 2 damage to each opposing character. So it's grab your swords on the body.
F tier. I'm just kidding.
Get out of here. Not our boy Bagheera. We got Bagheera, we got Baloo. We don't have Mowgli yet, but I think he's up there at the. I don't know if he's S tier, but definitely going to be
tier.
Yeah, A tier for sure. S tier if you're feeling generous. I think that he's going to slide into a lot of steel decks that just off the board, spit of damage. Is insane.
If you think about it, he's. He kind of seems very similar to like. Prince Eric from Ruby. So if you think about it, Prince Eric doesn't have a stipulation on an opponent's turn. It is 1 cheaper, but it's uninkable. But really, the Prince Eric, you just quest for 2 over and over and over again, and when they finally get rid of it, you get a free Dragonfire, right? And this, you just quest and quest and quest and quest. When they finally get rid of it, you get a free grab your sword.
I know he's got 2 lore on him, or if you want to be a damage-heavy deck, he sings Grab Your Sword as well. He sings Grab Your Sword, leaves himself vulnerable with a 3 body, and he has to be attacked since he's a bodyguard. So he's doing essentially 4 damage in 2 turns to your board. So you really have to be careful on how you deal with him.
So maybe he is, better costing 5 and being inkable than costing 4 and being uninkable for the fact that he's in steel, which has good 5-cost songs. But the fact that he's a 4 strength, 3 willpower, that means if you play this card, quest with it, on an empty board with nobody out there, and your opponent just plays a Maui and single runs a Maui into it, the Maui still is banished because it takes the 4 from this and the 2 from the grab your sword effect. And so like this is returning 6 damage to whoever takes it out, as well as splashing everyone else with the 2 damage, which is
you sold me. That's an S tier.
Is definitely a valuable card. And one again, inkability. The fact that it's inkable is just like, why not?
I think
it's great.
It's a good card, or at least has the potential to be a good card.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, those are all the legendaries of this set, and let us know what you think down in the comments below,
or on socials. We'll probably take a screenshot of that and throw that on the socials when the episode. Or should we? Maybe.
Yeah, let's
do
it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah. Fun times.
Moving on to the villain of the week. Brad, do you want to take this one?
Me? Oh my goodness. I said I wasn't going to talk a whole lot this episode. And here I am. The villain of the week. Apologies to Gantu from set 6 Azurite C. Bend to My Will. A 7-cost uninkable action, super rare card in Emerald. Each opponent discards all cards in their hand. Flavor text. At last, this is where your luck runs out. Art by Michaela Cacciatore.
Yeah, this card.
What do you think, guys?
This card is funny by just how like oppressive it is, honestly. It's kind of a high roll given how aggro a lot of the decks are in this set, but the idea that you just ramp to 7 and then just dump their hand and say, okay, well now you get to play the game with top decking whatever you had for the first couple turns on the board. I've been playing a lot of the Baja Blast list, whether it be in practice with Kirsten or at like LGS and stuff. Like I said earlier, I even tried the I called it Baja items, or I forget what I named it, but Baja Blast items basically, which was a really interesting one. I don't think it has Bend to My Will in it, but it's just. But
it's like it's been a staple to Ruby or to Sapphire Emerald for the last month or two. We saw in one of our live streams the set championship at Grapes Games. Hunter brought it over, and we even clipped that because it was so fun to watch. You guys got to watch it, I think, twice on the stream. We clipped the game with Brittany and made it its own video just because it was the hot thing to see for a while. And then that video actually did a lot of numbers. People wanted to see this Bend deck, and it was. I still, for a couple of days after going through it, it was fun to go back and watch because it's just. He's ramping up to that. He's getting Clarabelle on board, and then he's just like, "All right, you know what? You don't need a hand. Let's just do it like this." And I'm like, "Wow!" Like this card. What I wanted to stress, and I should have jumped into right before Andy took over, was when this that was announced. People just laughed at this card. Like, who's gonna have cards at 7 to even discard? Right? Nobody's gonna play this. And then 2.5 months later, when the set champion started up and people wanted to start playing some goofy stuff, they're like, all right, let's make this card work. And that's what I love about cards like this in this game, where people get experimental and do fun stuff like that. Because like watching him ramp to that and just discard you is like, it feels bad on the other side probably after a couple metas of being discarded down in slowly throughout the game. But watching that happen was like, okay, what are you gonna do to stop it? It's weird to say, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think this is one of those, like you said, like who's going to have cards at 7? Well, who's going to give you cards and then be like, oh, sorry, you discard those cards. And honestly, like Bend to My Will is one of those cards that I think is going to continue to be relevant in Lorcana as we get more tools to eventually get more consistent mill style decks in Lorcana, because I actually think this might be one of those kind of more critical components to refill your opponent's hand and then immediately say, nope, sorry, discard them all. And we saw that a little bit with the Baja Blast, but it really wasn't more mill. It was more like, using that Clarabelle to refill, your opponent's, well, not the Clarabelle, but what card was he using in there? That was
all of them, all the bounce.
He was bouncing
tools,
everything back,
as well as the
muses. And
that's right.
Welcome.
The muses.
You're welcome is a good one.
Right. So, putting all these cards back into his opponent's hand and then just turning around and saying, you're going to discard them all. So that then they have to top deck. And really just a hard card to play around once you get into that cycle. And you saw that in the matches that you were talking about there, Brad.
Yeah. I've played games where my opponent has seen the bend to my will in my hand, often Ursula early in the game or Diablo or something. And it was Ursula. I think this was an Emerald Amethyst matchup, and they saw it, and you could tell they're doing everything they could possibly do to dump their hand on the board as much as possible. And you can only concentrate on so many things, so they dumped their whole hand to the board. Well, I also played some characters, and now I used all of them to sing everyone back to your hand, and then I just dropped your whole hand with a bend to my will. And it's like, okay, I have 5 cards in my hand. I have 3 or 4 characters on the board. You have no characters on the board, no cards in hand, and you're at like 5 ink. So like, the game is literally over. I played another one where they got a Hiram off the top after I had done Bend to My Will. Played the Hiram, had 2 popsicles already. Got another Hiram off those 2 cards, so I ended up getting 2 Hirams back, and I just did it again. I just sent both Hirams back to their hand. They had all their cards left in there, and then I just played another Bend to My Will, and it's like, it feels bad playing, honestly. Like, it feels mean to play against to play it on someone. It is really just kind of, but it's a very high roll, right?
Right.
If you can't, you have very singular, limited, not very wide distribution of like removal. You're just bouncing it, just shoving it all back in their hand and then playing the bend. Sometimes you don't find the bend. Sometimes you don't have enough tools to send it all back to their hand. It just becomes very inconsistent, and like someone who can dump their whole hand, like these more aggro lists, will just like sort of eat a card.
Well,
like
they
alive.
also just go faster too, so that's also kind of a like a downside there. And I think we saw that like high roll nature with Hunter's deck, kind of live in action at the set championships. Brad, you want to tell us a little about the artist?
Michaela, she has an Instagram. We'll have it in the show description below. That's all there's a link tree on her Instagram too for all the merch and different sites. But 7 cards in the game currently, including this one. And the other ones are I've Got a Dream, Royal Tantrum, Mr. Arrow, which saw some play last set. Or is he this set? One of the last 2 sets had Mr. Arrow. I know Andy experimented with him for a little while. And then the continuous art from Chien Po, Ling, and Yao from set.
Chien Po, let's go.
Yeah. Chien Po was definitely in my Blue Steel deck for a while because he's just such a beefy character to protect the board, as we also referenced earlier with Gira in that 5 slot.
Do they have any cards in this current set? Maybe that we don't know of, because a lot of them aren't fully documented yet.
They're not all completely on Dreamborn yet, but everything that I pulled up with her name today was what I just listed. I don't think
if Michaela has any cards out there, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what your new cards are, or if anyone knows of them.
Yep. But that's it. 0 enchanted yet, but I like to assume everybody's going to get one eventually.
That Royal Tantrum card is gorgeous.
Oh yeah,
and that
Royal Tantrum has an enchanted, but it's not her. Yeah,
but it's not her. But even that the non-enchanted card is really cool looking.
Yeah.
But anyway, let us know your thoughts on Villain of the Week. We hope you've enjoyed this episode, although, as usual, we've gone about a half hour over. So sorry, but thank you for sticking around. But if you're joining us on audio, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
And if you're joining us on YouTube, which if you're not, you definitely should. We got a lot of fun over here. Be sure to hit that like, the subscribe, ring the bell, and come hang out with us next week.
Yeah, and before Brad, I just gotta say, folks are wanting to finish their card collection. Where should they go, Andy?
Yes, tcgplayer.com. There's like a link. I should probably actually remember the things so I can say it out loud. Is it /ROV? That's it.
I thought it was. I think
partner.tcgplayer.com/ROV. Don't look in the description. Don't take my word for it. I will get it right eventually, but there is a link. Costs you nothing. You could shop from any store you want on TCG Player. Get all the singles you want and need with this new set coming up. And it helps benefit us here at the Villain, the Rules of Villainy.
And we greatly appreciate it.
We do. And we also understand your time is valuable, so we appreciate you spending a little bit of it with us. If you would like to follow along as we plot our devious plans, consider following us on our socials. We're on Instagram, Blue Sky, and the platform formerly known as Twitter, @RulesOfVillainy. We also have a growing community on Discord, rapidly growing after today, in which you can join with the link below.
And until next week, stay safe, fellow villains. Be wary of wannabe heroes who want to disrupt your villainous plans. And as always, remember the rules of villainy.
Skywatch, where is Jock?